Good evening and Merry Christmas to everybody. This is the San Benito CISD regular board meeting. It's Tuesday, December 13th, 2016, and it is exactly 6:33 p.m. Agenda item number 1, I call this meeting to order. We do have an established quorum. Item number 2 is roll call. Mr. Medrano? Mr. Vargas?
Here.
Mr. Mendez? Here. Mr. Padilla? Mr. Leal?
Here.
Mr. Gonzalez?
Here.
Dr. Vega?
Here.
Mr. Torres? Agenda item number 3 and 4, Pledge of Allegiance to the United States and Texas flag and invocation. And at this time, I will turn it over to Mr. Mendez.
Thank you, Madam President. Today we have two outstanding students conducting the Pledge of Allegiance and the invocation. First, we have Mayra de Jesus Rodriguez, 11 years old. She is currently in the 5th grade students at Angela G. Leal Elementary School. She is the daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Luis and Mayra Rodriguez. Mayra's favorite subject is science. Some of Mayra's hobbies include dancing, singing, and gardening. Mayra is a former member of the Angela G. Leal Choir and participated in the 2015 Sounds of the Seasons production. She is a current member of the Angela G. Leal Student Council and has participated in activities such as Trash Bash, Canned Food Drive, and Pasta for Pennies. As a 4th grader, Mayra received a gold medal for the Accelerated Reader Program. Congratulations, Mayra. And for our invocation, we have Edikel Hernandez, who is 10 years old and a 5th grader and is currently attending Angela G. Leal Elementary School. He is the son of Jeronimo Hernandez and Marisela Herrera. Some of Hidekel's hobbies include playing chess, participating in robotics, and will represent his school at the district spelling bee. Edikel currently holds the position of President of Student Council and is an active participant in the upcoming 2016 Science Fair. Edikel's favorite subject is mathematics and enjoys working in all aspects of all subject matters. Congratulations.
Please stand.
I pledge allegiance to the Texas United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to the Texas, one state under God, and indivisible.
Please bow your heads. Loving and gracious God, you are indeed the giver of all good gifts, and we thank you today for all your blessings, for the successful outcomes of our school events, and for all our staff members, both teaching and support members. We ask that you bless us all abundantly, and we continue to seek your wisdom, guidance, courage, and strength. Be with us in our deliberations, and help us to be wise in the decisions we make for the good of all those who have placed their trust and confidence in your leadership. Dear Lord, grant us the humility to always seek your will in all that we do and say. All glory be to you, loving God, now and always, through Christ and Holy Spirit, forever and ever. Amen.
At this time, could the parents of Mayra de Jesus Rodriguez please stand up and be acknowledged? Thank you. Will the parents of Edikel Hernandez please stand up and be acknowledged? Thank you. And we'd like to thank the principal and assistant principal, Manuel Cruz. Would you please stand up and be acknowledged? And Patricia Rodriguez, assistant principal for the Angela Del Real Elementary. Thank you all.
Agenda item number 5 is the superintendent's report, and at this time, I will turn it over to Dr. Vega.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, Board of Trustees, Legal Counsel, at this time, as has been customary the last, I guess since school started this particular school year, as I shared with you after the strategic plan was approved, that each month we would provide an update of the progress of a component of the plan. And so this particular month, we're going to be hearing the progress of our communications component of the strategic plan. And so for this presentation, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to our Director of Communications.
Thank you, Dr. Vega. Madam President, members of the board, Dr. Vega, and those of you present joining us this evening. We do have our presentation that's scheduled to be presented before you this evening. There's been a lot of work that has taken place in the area of communications and public relations. And so right now, we're going to get started with a presentation. Ms. Gloria Montalvo, our secretary, she will be passing out the actual presentations. And before I get started, I do want to acknowledge staff members from the communications department that are here with us this evening. So I thank them for all their help. We're an awesome team. We have a dynamic team, and we're all learning from each other each and every day. So thank you guys for always willing to help out. And y'all are great team players. And also want to acknowledge members of the Strategic Planning Committee. They devoted many hours in helping us formulate the strategic plan. So we thank them as well. So we begin with the presentation for communications and public relations. And we're going to start off with communications public relations, year 1, priority 1. So what the plan states here on the strategic priority 1, San Benito CISD will utilize available current and trending social media outlets to reach all stakeholders. The first year goal, develop and implement a policy for standardized use of approved social media. The status as of December, as part of our research, we discovered that San Benito CISD's social media policy is virtually non-existent. We requested and compiled a sampling of neighboring districts to determine what they had in place. And we also learned that what they do have in place throughout is how their policy is written as well. I want to talk a little bit about social media because it's something that we've been doing for a while now. That's a big trend, as you know, and things have changed in the way we communicate with our publics. And so we're trying to keep up with that on our end. And we thank you, Dr. Vega, and members of the board for always being supportive of our efforts and everything we're trying to do to promote our schools and our campuses and our community as a whole. We appreciate everything that y'all do for our department because in the end, it benefits all of our children and all of our staff, our district, and our community as a whole. So for Facebook, we have right now a total of 7,592 likes. This is as of today. This social media for Facebook, we started this back in 2013. And so we've had it in place for a number of years. This year we surpassed the 7,000 mark as far as the number of likes. And we continue promoting it in every single program that we do and every single thing that we produce, just to remind the community that this is another avenue for us to communicate with them. For Twitter, right now we have a total of 291 followers. This particular social media we started in 2016. And so you see some information there before you. So we do want to thank and acknowledge the schools and the departments because they've also been part of helping us get the word out as far as what's happening at their campus. So we appreciate them. They share what's going on at their campus, and we in turn share it on our district pages and on Twitter as well. So that's been a big help. We could not do it without the support from the campuses and without the support from the departments, because in essence, they're out there promoting what's happening at their level, and in turn, feeding us the information, and we're putting it out there for them. So year one, priority one, we continue. One of the new things that we did this year, for those of you that attended the football games at Bobby Morrow Stadium, we did a trial this year, and we had 3 home games where we went out there and we did the Twitter and Instagram. And so for 3 home games, we had a total of 990 people reached, 52 post clicks. And for the Greyhound Nation, this gave the people an opportunity to participate, to send us their photos. We had different games going on throughout the game. And there was a lot of interaction with the crowds and with the people that were there in the stands. So it was really exciting time for everybody. 772 people were reached and 100 post clicks. So the social media policy, going back to the social media policy, the information from the neighboring districts, we've compiled it, and I did have an initial meeting with Ms. Torres, who is our Human Resources Executive Director, and she's been very helpful in trying to get us going with the policy, because she's the one that works closely with the board on that, so we appreciate her help. So the next steps, we'll be working with Ms. Torres to create a draft by January the 20th. And also the policy committee can use this just as a guide and determine whether any changes are necessary to that particular policy that will be looked at. Under communications, year one, priority 2, strategic priority 2, SBCISD will foster a positive mindset associated with our schools and our community. The year one goal, conduct surveys and forums with all stakeholders to identify the perceptions of the district. That's something that we've already done, and I'm gonna tell you a little bit about what took place just a while back. So we created a survey, both in English and Spanish, to identify the perceptions of the district, and made it available to staff, students, parents, community members, business leaders, and media. The survey comprised of 19 questions, was conducted from October the 21st through November the 4th. The survey link was also provided to all staff members. And it was promoted via the newspapers and social media, and also posted on the website. So a total of 366 individuals responded to the survey, and we do have a breakdown as far as who were these people that responded to this particular survey having to do with perceptions about the district. So school district employees, we had a total of 295 school district employees responding to the survey, or that's 80.6%. Parents, we had 39, or 10.66%. We also had a total of 10 students that responded to the survey, 2.73%. We also had members of the community, being a total of 10, or 2.73%. Business leaders, we also reached 2 business leaders, or 0.55%, and others 10, or 2.73%. So year one, priority 2, and it continues. The responses of the survey range from positive to neutral to negative. And we did provide a little bit of highlights of this particular survey, just to kind of give you an indication of some of the things that people were stating. In the survey, there was areas where people could actually comment and make remarks. So this is where we took it off of. So for positive statements, among some of the positive statements that were being made, the community is optimistic and willing to embrace change. Employees are hardworking and loyal. The athletic, career, and technical education program and dual enrollment programs are top-notch. So those were positive remarks that we heard throughout. Neutral, the community is high-spirited and demonstrates much Greyhound pride. The district is making progress. Respondents are generally satisfied with campus and district communication. Over 72% would prefer communication via email, and over 75% of the respondents visit the district website daily. Among some of the negative things that kind of kept surfacing, They made references to compadrismo or favoritism, indicating that it's widespread. Employees are underpaid, and there's a high employee turnover. They also aired concerns about health insurance, the benefits that they're inadequate, and premiums are high, as well as the deductibles. So those are some of the things that really stood out as far as what people were stating in the survey. Now, a complete copy of this survey is available, and you may request it through our department if you'd like a complete copy of the survey. The next steps.
Excuse me.
Yes,
Ms. Longoria, I am requesting that every board member get a copy of this survey so that they can, have full comprehension of these positive, neutral, and negative comments on.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. And also, once you do get that survey, it's actually will give you graphs in how people like to be, as far as communications and things like that. I have a complete copy of the survey here. Obviously, I won't go through it right now, but it kind of gives you the graphs, the bar graphs. So it gives you an indication of what the responses are. So the next steps, the data responses will be used to identify the perceptions from a sampling of stakeholders. A communications advisory committee will be created and will discuss survey results and make recommendations on specific areas to target with a newly formed positive campaign by early February 2017. We intend to use the committee to address several items throughout the communications and PR priorities. So we still have a lot of work. Although a lot of work has taken place, we still have a lot of work ahead of us, and we're prepared to get that work done by the time May comes around. So year one, priority 3, San Benito CISD will consolidate district schools and departments communications through a collaborative medium. Year one goal, identify, evaluate, and select the modes of communication. One of the things when we were working on this particular plan with the groups, we had several members on our committee, and they just talked about the way the campuses communicate with parents and with the public and things like that. So it kind of varies from campus to campus, and in a little bit you'll see a graph of how the campuses communicate with the publics. So what is the status? In an effort to standardize communication modes among and between campuses, departments, students, and parents, we requested a list of such communication practices from all campuses, from data collected, and we created a chart that delineates all campus modes of communication. And in a minute, you'll see that particular chart. The next steps, based on the data gathered from the campuses, we will meet with the campus principals to determine the best and proven methods of communication, and we will work towards standardizing a uniform mode of communication. By mid to late February, a proposed plan to standardize a uniform mode of communication will be developed. And next, you'll see on the modes of communication, actually listing all the schools. You see that all the schools do utilize the campus website, and in a little bit, I'm gonna talk about the actual website for the school district, and we're coming on an exciting time because we're gonna see some changes with that as well. So you see all the way across the board how the campuses are communicating via their website. They're also using School Messenger all the way across. And then other schools, of course, like to communicate via flyers, via letters, and things like that. So it just kind of gives you an indication of how the schools are communicating from the school to the home. Communications, public relations, year one, priority 4. So in strategic priority 4 states, San Benito CISD will modernize and update its digital image. And we're very fortunate now that we have our technology director, Ms. Lee Peña. We've been working very closely with her, of course, our department together with the superintendent's office on trying to get this off the ground. So it's an exciting time, all of us working together. Year one goal, review the current website template and seek mobile phone application options for the district. So what is the status as of today? The communications department has been working closely with the superintendent's office and the district's technology department, holding meetings and discussions to review the effectiveness of the current website. The technology department has secured services with Etlio. This is a company that creates custom designed websites. The services being provided include a district app that will allow school leaders to be more effective with communicating with both internal and external publics. And also the district will use this as another means or another tool of promoting the district and also getting word out to the different publics. The next step, you see the initial steps have been taken for Etlio and or for the district to transition to the new website. The goal is to complete the process, and we do have a timeline, a tentative timeline. Keep in mind it's a tentative timeline. From December the 12th through January 31st, they're compiling the site templates for campuses. And then from December the 30th through January the 6th, campus mockup is created. From January the 9th through the 23rd, finalize the design. And from February the 1st through the 28th, finalize the campus sites. And March, that's the projected launch for the new website for San Benito CISD. So the district will create a communications plan to inform the staff and of course the public regarding trainings and things like that. So of course we'll keep the public and everybody posted about the status. It's an exciting time for all of us, and I think it's been a long time, in the making, I guess you would say. So we're going to have an entirely new look, and we do appreciate the assistance of the technology department for taking the lead on that. Our webmaster has been working very closely also, and working closely with the campuses as well to try to compile all the information they need in order to meet those deadlines. Communications Public Relations Year 1 Priority 5. Strategic Priority 5, San Benito CISD will evaluate, reshape, and implement a cohesive brand image. So this too is exciting. Year 1 goal is to create a marketing and branding campaign. So the status, we conducted an initial survey involving a sampling of stakeholders regarding questions about the district's logo and obtained feedback. What are the next steps? Questions regarding the district's logo were included in the perception survey, but we felt like we did not receive enough feedback. So we're gonna be working towards a new survey during this week with questions targeting the effectiveness of the current logo. The survey will be open to stakeholders from December the 19th through January the 11th. And then in mid-January, we will meet with the advisory committee and discuss the logo survey responses for that particular logo design. Develop an entire campaign based on the new logo design that embodies the district's new image, brand, and direction. The campaign will include flyers, posters, email blast, newspaper blast, billboards, TV spots, vehicle wraps, and district public service announcements. And our intention is to, of course, produce those and air them at the local movie theaters, also have an online presence, utilize various magazines and newspapers and things of that nature. So for Communications Public Relations Year 1 Priority 5, which is continued, our next steps, district campaign will be launched by early March and completed by late May to include the district's new logo and will serve to continue enhancing the positive focus on our district. And so promotional and marketing efforts targeting the Reimagine 2021 Strategic Plan campaign allowed the public an opportunity to get introduced and become familiar with the district's new mission, vision, and core value statement. This will serve as a model for the larger image and branding district-wide campaign. And on there, you see some of the photos of some of the things that we did with the Reimagine 2021 campaign. Of course, those of you driving either along the expressway or on Williams, you saw we had billboards out there with the actual design. We also developed the tote bags, a lot of other promotional materials like bookmarks, lanyards. There's also a sign right in front of here, the corner of Stenger and Crockett, very visible so that the public can kind of start identifying with the strategic plan. We're gonna be working on the strategic plan for 5 years, so it's important to ingrain that in everyone's mind. And so I think by now everybody is familiar with what the strategic plan is all about, because we've kind of saturated every possible thing that we could out there. You even see it on our school buses. So we took a photo of that as well. And then, of course, we're promoting it to our loyal people that come to our football games on the scoreboard as well. So the campuses and departments, they were also given promotional materials so that they could promote this particular campaign. And they are currently on display at their campuses. So again, it's everybody working together. It takes a lot of teamwork. And, you know, it's an exciting time for San Benito CISD because there's a lot of great things happening. We have a lot of positive things taking place as well. So that concludes our presentation. I don't know if y'all have any questions, but again, you know, we want to thank y'all for all your support that you've given to our team. It's great to know that we have everyone's support behind us. And we're excited about what the future holds for San Benito CISD. And we're going to tackle all these things that are in the strategic plan. And we can't wait to show you what it's going to look like in the end of the school year.
Ms. Longoria?
Yes, sir.
I was noticing the modes of communication. There's several modes that are not being used by a lot of these campuses. And I was just wanting to know why. You know, like, for example, for the PTA, for events and all of that. You've got,
On some of those that you see on there, like Class Dojo, and there's some others on there that are free to the schools. Remind 101 is a different one. But, you know, each campus is different, and they prefer to communicate using different means of reaching their publics.
I understand, but like if they have this available, I think they should use it, you know. I mean, especially like como community events. Tienes también aquí el PTO también, stuff like that. Even though it's nice that they want to use their own methods, but the thing is, if we have this available for them, I think that they should make an effort to try and use this, you know. I don't know if you need to give them a directive or ask them to use this thing, you know.
And
It looks good, you know, there's a lot of stuff here.
Right.
And it's available to them, so I don't understand why they wouldn't be using it. Okay, and there's some here que nomás tienes one school or two schools participating. And then you've got several que están, you know, up and down, which is great, you know, pero it'd be good if we could get these other campuses to get involved in this, como dices tú, teamwork.
Yes, sir, and that's a reason that we're going to meet together with the principals so that we can also get their feedback. It's very important for us to get their feedback because we really don't know. I mean, they're the ones that can justify to us, these are the reasons why we use these methods of communication. Maybe what works for one campus might not work for another, but we want to hear from them, and that's a reason it's listed on here as a next steps. Yes, sir.
I'd like to make a comment, and thank you very much, Ms. Longoria.
Yes, sir.
And Dr. Vega. I think that it is evident that there's quite a bit going on in our districts, and it has been since, you know, I guess 9 months to date, and we're seeing it. We're seeing the impact. We're seeing the strategic plan unravel. And I think it's important that we're still in the starting phase. We understand that we're in the starting phase, and there's a lot of things out there that are still being missed, hit and miss, and I'm hoping, as Mr. Gonzalez mentioned, that our schools are conducting their own surveys, reaching out to the parents and seeing if they're getting the information and so forth. I know that just recently in our school, we started getting the messages stapled to the backpack instead of inside. Hey, that's smart, because now I see it and now I can actually open it and use it. So we see the wonderful things that's happening in our district, and thank you very much for leading this event, and thank you for praising your team efforts, because it is important that we all are aware that everybody is and are playing a role in this concept. Dr. Vega, congratulations. It looks great. I think that you know, as we move forward, let's continue receiving some of those comments, because I think it is important to really see what's out there. What does the public have to say about us? And you know, it says it there: positive, neutral, and negative. You know, hey, I'll be the first one to be, you know, to get the information and see what I can do better to to elude that misconception, because I say it, and I'm pretty sure that all of the board members here, we strive for the best for our kids. We strive for the best for our community, and we will continue doing that. And of course, with your all support, we will get there. Thank you very much.
Yes. Thank you, sir. Any other questions?
No, one of the things I'd like to say, and thank you, Mr. Mendez, is that, I too want to commend Ms. Longoria and her staff for all of the hard work. But I also want to just once again put this into context. So yes, we're concluding the first semester. And so people have been working tirelessly. But when you think about it, this first semester, each month, we've heard an update on a component. So it doesn't stop there. So guess what happens in January? We come back and we hear once again from curriculum, because now a semester would have gone by. So then we should see progress from the first time you heard the curriculum update to the second. And so the second semester, we're going to have an update all over again, so that by the end of year one, we will be able to mark off the goals that we've accomplished. So once again, the strategic plan, if we go back to it in its inception, I mean, this is something that the entire community came together, the work sessions, all of the hard work, once again, these priorities are not one individual's priorities. These priorities came from the community. And what we're merely trying to do is implement the priorities so that we can have clear progress in the areas, once again, communication, finance, facilities, P20, and communication. So I too want to commend Ms. Longoria, as well as all of the other team leaders who are leading the charge in every aspect of the strategic plan.
Thank you all so much. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yes, for this next update, the district financial update, I'm actually going to come down from the dais and present to y'all myself. Madam President, Board of Trustees, Legal Counsel, I wanted to make sure that we were providing y'all with a update on our financial status. I know that there's been a lot of questions, and a lot of the questions, quite candidly, have centered around compensation and when is it coming. And one of the things from day one, when we had the back to school, we talked about this was going to be a priority by way of being able to look at where we are financially. Before I get into this, I just want to also kind of speak to the progress that the district is making. And please understand that progress doesn't happen in isolation, nor does progress happen because of one individual or a few individuals. Progress requires everyone, okay? And so when we go through this, what I'm going to share with you, the progress means the Board of Trustees as well as the superintendent. Hello? But it also means all of staff. And so the information I share with you could not be possible without the dedication and the hard work of staff. And so, but before I get into this, I will say this one thing. It was real interesting, probably in the spring, and this talks about how far we've come. In the spring, I was asked by a reporter, what was the financial state of the district? What was the outlook? And I said it was trending in a positive direction. The very follow-up question was, are y'all going to have to let anybody go? And I said, no, we're not going to have to let anybody go. So I find that very interesting that those were the questions that I was being asked in the spring. And so let's just put that into context. So with that said, we'll go ahead and go through this. Now, once again, this was my commitment to share this with y'all in December. Originally, we were pushing or striving for our external auditors to complete their report closing out last year for December. They will be here in January. Okay, so this is preceding that. So we will get the final stamped version in January. But I promised that I would present, so that's what we're doing. All right, so let's look at the basic information. If you look at the adopted budget from 2016 to 2017, Our adopted budget was $112,603,894. And if you want to know what the breakdown is and the revenue streams or sources, 13 million of that, 13.5 million comes from local revenues, 87.1 million comes from state revenues, and then 11.9, almost 12 million comes from federal reserves, specifically for our indirect costs, SHARs, MAC, and child nutrition. So that right there, those sources make up our budget of $112 million. If you look at our tax rate, this is very important. I'm not going to really dive into this because we'll hear more about this next month. But we have had the same tax rate in its current state since 2011. And so what is that? Our local maintenance is $1.17, and then our debt service collection is 0.13, and so that equals the $1.30. However, the reason that this is important to note, because under this current tax structure, if you look, each year we basically have been shifting about $3 to $5 million out of our general fund, which over this time has totaled over $20 million. I'm not going to say any more than that, other than I'm just bringing that to your attention, or y'all's attention. If you look at our board policy, we do have a board policy that specifically refers to our fund balance, okay? And in our board policy, as you see, which we are bound to by law, our board policy says, in order to preserve financial stability, the district must be prepared to respond to cash flow shortages, large or unexpected one-time expenditures, changes in the economy, and changes in state funding. Therefore, the district shall target a yearly unassigned general fund balance between 10% and 15% of the district's total operating expenditures. So what our own policy states is that our fund balance, unassigned, which means it's not earmarked, it's there for our discretion, right, has to be, per our policy, a minimum of 10 to 15%, okay? All right. So what does that mean in terms of actual amount? Once again, I indicated our adopted budget is $112 million. So per our policy, at a minimum, the unassigned portion of our fund balance that's not earmarked to go to a specific area should be $11.2 million on the lower end, or $16.8 million on the higher end of 15%. But I also want y'all to know that per TEA best practices, districts that are strong financially, they have at least 3 months in reserves, okay? So if you look, the target, if we were to be the gold standard and go above and beyond our local policy, $28 million is 3 months worth of reserves of a $112 million budget. So let's just hold on to those numbers. All right, so where do we stand? Last year, in 2015, the assigned restricted non-spendable, which meant that it was already earmarked, portion of our fund balance that we couldn't touch because we had debts, was $2.9 million. The unassigned was 5.1, which meant that at the end of last year, going into this year, our total fund balance was $8.1 million. Now, if you look at the unassigned, it was 5.1. But if you go back, we weren't even close to the 10% unassigned or 15% unassigned. The preliminary numbers, which will be verified next month when the external audit is finalized, indicates that this year we will be closing out this year with 316 in assigned and restricted and $13.3 million in unassigned, for a total of $13.6 million. Now, here's what's promising, or I'm going to say exciting. Now, not crazy exciting, but trending in the right direction. When you add all this up, we are looking at assigned fund balance of $2.6 million and unassigned of $18.5 million for a total of $21 million in our fund balance. Now, that doesn't happen by accident. That doesn't happen by wishful thinking, okay? So, if you look, going back to our own local policy, 10% is $11.2 million, 15% is $16.8 million, but the 3 months best practice is $28 million. So we're right there, okay? So this is very promising, which goes back to when we begin building our budget for next year, we're going to have some funds to be able to do something by way of compensation, okay? Now, let's look at some other important numbers, because you can't look at a budget without staff or enrollment. I know there's been a lot out there where we're hiring all these people or our numbers are going up. If you look, in 2015, November, we had a staff of 1,600 employees. Okay, 1,600. This year, as same month in November, we have 1,500 employees. That's a difference of 71. So we're not going up, we're going down, and not because we're letting people go, but because in a moment I will show you what our enrollment numbers are and through attrition. Now, what's the big deal or not the big deal? What does that mean by way of finances? If you look at last year, 15-16 school year, we spent about $74 million, $74.8 million in salaries. Well, if you're down 71 employees, that means that we're estimated to spend about $70 million in salaries this year, which means that there is a savings, if you will, of $4.1 million. Okay, and I'll get back to that in a minute. Let's look at enrollment. And this is something that is a concern to me, that is concern to y'all, that is concern to all of us. Okay? In 2014, 2015, our enrollment was over 11,000. During that year, in general, the state provided the district, generally speaking, roughly speaking, about $5,400 per student. Now that's for a general ed student. That's not including the weighted funding, whether it's special ed, whether it's second language learner, whether it's CTE. This is just, we had to give you a general, right? In 2015, 2016, very interesting, we lost about 136 kids. However, we didn't feel that loss in terms of income because the state allotted $300 plus more dollars per student. Okay? So in that sense, it was somewhat of a wash. However, this year, our enrollment is around 10,600, which means we are down another 250 kids, 6 kids. So for the last 3 years, 14, 15, we were up over 11,000. We are now almost down 400 kids. And if you want to know what the impact is, take the 256 kids that we lost and multiply that during that general amount of 5,797, and we're looking at a loss of income of $1.4 million. Now, I want to talk about some things that we're doing to also add to the potential fund balance as we move forward, why I said it's very promising. In the spring, y'all approved for us to have a new energy plan. So we went from direct to Cavallo for a 48-month period. By doing that, which also speaks to the efficiency audit and these other things that we've been doing, by doing that, we are looking at saving $825,000 this year, okay? We had a property study done that was looking at back properties that brought us another $200, or will bring us another $230,000. We refinanced some bonds that will bring us another $249,000, and then going back to the staffing, because we're down 71, that's the $4.1 million. So this year alone, and we're only halfway through, we're looking at an estimated savings of $5.5 million. Something else that is trending in the right direction. As you know, the last 2 years of our external audits, the findings, we had some pretty significant findings by way of leaving money on the table, whether it was spending all of the allotted amount for GT, state comp, bilingual, high school allotment, CT, etc. This year, we were able to ensure that we cleared that, which meant that we either coded it properly or we allocated it for closing out this year, right? Which means we cleared that off the books. Now, if you see the CTE, there was still $335,000 that we didn't have an opportunity to spend completely, which rolls over. Now, this says $859,000, but as of today, we were able to clear out some more, so that is actually $523,000. But there's an asterisk because we have a clear plan. So, I wanted to present this information to y'all. I wanted y'all to see that we are definitely trending in the right direction. Yes, sir.
Where did you get this amount per student, the $57.97? Because I thought it was higher than that.
That's the general amount for, like I said, a student. So when the state provides districts funding, there is the general amount, and then there is what we refer weighted amount. That came straight from the state.
Okay, so this amount, okay, I was under the understanding that it was more like 7,000 or 8,000 per student, which was put us at a loss of about $2 million for all the students we lost. That's why I'm asking you where you got this $57.97. But you're saying you got it from
Yes.
from Austin.
Ms. Rendon?
Zendon?
State, it's the basic allotment per student. On top of that, there's weights. So there could be.
Okay, explain weights.
Well, they start off with the basic. and
Okay,
then there-
I already know that one.
And then if there's, if it's career technology, they added weights, so now they add additional weights to it if it's a career technology, if the child is bilingual, if it's enrolled in.
So you don't
the
have
different
the
programs.
amount as per weights added onto the basic?
No, they add in different funding, but that's the basic allotment portion that they send us, and that came from the summary of finance, from TEA. We would have to
Well-
identify which child we're talking about.
Do
to
do
see
we have,
which-
do we have like an average from the past, from last year, as far as, you know?
Because I think with the weights included, it's a lot higher than this, what we lost, what we're losing because of
I
all
can
these
get
kids
that.
we lost.
It would be, but it would be identifying which students they are.
I just want us to be transparent to the public
Yes.
to make sure, because, like you said, the basic, but then we do have other,
Yes,
as
it could be much
identifiable
higher.
students, and we need to give them the realistic instead of just the basic.
The potential.
Because
I will talk to the
Because that'll
others.
give us exactly how much we're losing or we lost, because all these students that we lost.
I will talk to the auditors and get that information for January, sir.
Yeah, just for, for the public, because I want them to know that we are transparent.
Yes, sir.
So far as all of this goes, because everything, it sounds real nice, everything you said right now, but I just want to make sure that the public knows exactly how much it is we're losing or how much it is we're gaining, in none of us assumptions or stuff like that. I want to make sure que todo está
Right, no, I mean,
out in the
you're,
open.
right, and you're absolutely correct, because if we're down 256 kids, to your point, how many of those are special ed kids, how many of those are second language learners, how many of those are CT, because yes, that would be.
So we could have an accurate account as to how much we lost?
We can get that for you, sir.
Okay, no problem.
Dr. Vega, this is Mr. Vargas. Ideally, these savings that you just presented should be sustainable. Can you explain the sustainability of these savings across the time period, maybe the next 5 or 10 years?
Right, so in terms of, I mean, we can't project that far out, but in terms of the sustainability, obviously it has everything to do with our accounting practices. It has everything to do with staffing, per enrollment, making sure that we're not, I guess, growing that area. It has everything to do with making sure that our coding is correct. And what I mean by coding, I'm talking about making sure that whatever we're spending, it can be spent from the appropriate funding source, okay? Because I think part of the cleanup in this is that we discovered that there were things that we were paying maybe out of our general fund that we could have paid out of other revenue streams. And so it's definitely ensuring that we maintain those same principles and practices throughout. Once again, what's very promising about this is when we begin to prepare, so here's really the next step, because I know that, I'm sure this is what matters most to the most people, especially even just sitting here, is that we will be getting a compensation study, a complete one done from TASB, which should be coming around February-ish. As soon as we have that, we will have a clear picture to say how much is it going to cost to do equity adjustments or to do a 2% or a 3%, a 4%. I don't know how much all that's going to cost, but once we know, so when you look at the savings that we have to continue to tack that onto our fund balance and we begin to prepare next year's budget, we will be preparing it with that in mind. So what's going to have to happen, Mr. Vargas, also for the sustainability, let's cut to the chase, we got to stop losing kids. And this goes back to, I know people, this is all of us. This is the strategic plan. This is the messaging out there. This is what we share with our neighbors. This is what we share with our family members. This is on all of us. And so I think we're trending in the right direction, but we also need to continue delivering the message that San Benito CISD is setting the gold standard. And so I think if we're able to stop the exodus, but also win families back, and I think we can do that by staying the course with the strategic plan, or maybe thinking of some other creative, innovative things, then I think it becomes more sustainable.
Yeah, and that's why I asked the question, because I want our community to be aware that sustainability is the key. I think this year is going to be the year where we actually stabilize, not only financially, but operationally. And secondly, to Celia Longoria's presentation, that's, I think, where the proof is in the pudding as to how we're going to sell. If we're sustainable towards the future, if we have a good model, then it's going to take the communications department to really communicate that to the community and the stakeholders.
Yes, sir. Okay, that concludes my portion of this, and then I have Ms. Rendon. She'll finish up with our month-to-month presentation of finances, and then we'll conclude the superintendent report.
Good evening, Madam President, board members, community members. I'm going to give you the finance. Now I'm coming to, Dr. Vega alluded to kind of an overall of where we are. I'm going to do, my financial reports is as of November of this year. So we're starting off with the cash balances for November, the end of November 2016. We have a total balance of, whether investment or operating cash balance of $44,454,030.74. We'll follow off into the student activity accounts. For the month ending November 30th, 2016, our student activity accounts have an ending balance of $498,000. $465.89. You have additional detail as far as who are the owners of these accounts. I'm going to follow into the comparison of the revenue and budget. On the combined fund board report, we start off with basing the comparison of the expenditures, the revenues to the budget that was adopted. Under the general operating fund, we have the adopted $112,604,046. Realized revenue to date as of 11/30/2016 is $35,703,730.72, which is 31.71% of what we anticipated receiving. Under our special revenue funds, which are federal funds, we anticipate receiving $17,631,540.42. Realized to date as of 11/30 is $2,269,746.41, with 12.87% realized. Under our interest and sinking fund, we anticipated receiving $4,303,414. We received $917,299.41, which is 21.32% realized. Under our construction funds, we've realized $655.44, which is interest. And our expended account or our trust account was $12.11. Total estimated revenue between general fund, special revenue, interest, construction, and expendable. Our total grand revenues is $134,539,042. We have realized $38,891,444.09, or 28.91%. Our next report is where we compare our expenditures and encumbrances to the approved budget. Under the general operating funds, we anticipated out of the $108,144,189, we have currently expenditures to date, through November, $21,842,311.57, which is 20.20%. When we compare the two, which is revenues over the expenditures, we're approximately 10% have more revenues than expenditures. So that means we have cash flow. Special revenue funds, we anticipated spending $18,307,025.42. Expenditures through November 30th is $3,767,274.77. We have spent 20.58% of our budget. And under interest and sinking fund, we have no expenditures to report. Following to this month, we do our quarterly investment report as required. Policy from the period of September 1st to 2016 to November 30th, 2016. We had a beginning balance of $22,918,617.99 between additions, withdrawals, and the interest that was earned of $50,321.23. We have a balance of $36,067,232.49 invested. Going into our tax collection report. Our tax collection report through November 30th, 2016. Taxes collected, $7,352,225.65. Our tax levy is $12,318,997.07. We've collected 59.68% of our tax levy. And then we follow off into our check disbursements, and if anybody has any questions or want to pull any specific check.
Thank you, Ms. Rendon. And so, Madam President, that
you
concludes
so much.
the superintendent's report.
Vega. Agenda item number 6 is public comment, and we do have 2 individuals that are present for public comment. Persons wishing to address the Board of Trustees shall register with the presiding officer or designee no later than 5 minutes before the announced time of the school board meeting, state their full name, state what organization or group, if any, is being represented, state the topic they wish to address before the Board of Trustees, refrain from commenting directly on any individual school district employee or public official by name, but may instead refer to a specific employment area, job title, or the Board of Trustees as a whole, and refrain from attacks on individuals. San Benito CISD Board Policy BED, board meetings, public participation guidelines require that the speaker be allowed only 5 minutes to give his or her presentation. Delegations of more than 5 persons shall appoint 1 person to present their views before the Board of Trustees. Presentation shall be informative and shall pertain to the school-related issues. Attack on an individual should be considered disruption of the meeting, and the Board of Trustees shall not deliberate or decide regarding any subject that is not included on the agenda posted with notice of the meeting. And at this time, we have Dr. Ramos.
But to me, it was so important to come, and thank you, Dr. Vega, for going to our concert, and Ms. Cruz. And those of you that weren't there, you missed an incredible, incredible concert. I really believe that San Benito School District has the very best musical teachers and students. And I know that 2 students that are on borderline between us and Los Fresnos decided to come to our district and go to high school here because of our music department. Even though the parents were pushing for the academic side that Los Fresnos supposedly has better, but they are here and they love it. And their parents love it too, and they were there at our concert. Dr. Vega, you were the first superintendent that has attended one of our concerts in 5 years. So thank you for being there. It made a big difference to the students. They were making all kinds of comments. Oh my God, you know who is there? And I said, he's a person and came to enjoy your music. And I think you did. Mr. Henry Sanchez and I started planning this thing back in August. And we didn't know who was going to be ready to do anything. And believe it or not, I said, you know, we really would love to have the orchestra. And the orchestra is all freshmen. And by the time they graduate, they're going to be probably in Carnegie Hall. They were incredible, and they're just starting. This is their first year. We also had the VMA Conjunto group that was outstanding. And for the first time, I believe it was an after-school group that 2 young men did a zapateado, which is one of the hardest things to do, where you use your feet, tap, or do shuffling and tapping. And I think this is the first time anybody in San Benito had ever heard them, because normally nobody wants to do it because it's very hard to do it, you know, to do that kind of an act without the music, because people depend on the music for everything else. And of course, I was very sad to hear that our incredible flamenco group will be losing all 11, and we only have 1 that's returning. And so Mr. Mascoro is he's already hunting and looking for new talent, because as you know, they are the best in the state. And if they would have had the money to go to nationals, they probably would have been number 1 in the nation, because they are that good. Everybody that hears them, you know, they come back with all these medals and everything because they're that good. So, board, what can I tell you? you have the best music department in the state of Texas. And thank you so much for supporting them. And while, you know, it isn't considered academic, musicians always are very good in math, and those kids that take music are very good in math. And the reason for that is because, first of all, the professors that teach music request that they have at least a B average. Of course, they would prefer an A, but at least a B, and that makes a big difference because they have to stay after school, they practice, you know the discipline it takes to be a musician. Those of you that know how to play a musical instrument know that. And the students are so respectful. I had to keep running back and forth, giving them tamales and pan dulce that La Especial and Mr. Sanchez donated, and we, the Writers Forum, by selling our anthologies, were able to actually fund all the tamales that the kids could eat. So it was a very good evening, and again, thank you very much for doing what you do. And just don't forget, the most important person in the entire district is the teacher, because they're the ones that produce our students. And graduation rates go up when you have good teachers. Teachers retain students. And I know that because I was a teacher for a long time. Good evening, and thank you again.
Thank you, Dr. Ramos. The next individual is Ms. Johannes.
Good evening. My name is Jean Johans, and I've worked for the district 29 years, and I'm currently the librarian at VMA. I am here representing myself and other district personnel who will be retiring either at the end of this year or plan on retiring within the next couple of years. It has come to our attention that the school district has changed their view on the local policy of compensating retiring employees for up to 30 days of leave at the time of retirement. The district is now enforcing local policy DEC as intended. Those employees who are close or at retirement are unable to meet the requirement of DEC local, since 3 days of local leave is being offered to district employees for the first time this year. No previous local leave has ever been offered. Employees only had the opportunity to accumulate sick days or state days. We were given 3 convenience days that did not accumulate. In fact, there were years when we were required to pay for them. I personally learned about this change on December 2nd when a coworker mentioned it to me. Changes of importance like this need to be announced to all employees when they are issued. When this change was mentioned to me, I was completely taken by surprise because I had called HR in August to confirm the number of days I had available and if the district was going to compensate me for them. I called again in either October or November and once again was told I'd be compensated, but I had to make sure I gave a 90-day notice of separation from the district to qualify. No mention was made of days being either state or local. I appeal to you, our board members, to either modify or make changes to this policy. You need to consider whom this is affecting. You have employees who have been loyal to this community and school district for many years. They have been dedicated to the students of this district. They have stayed with this district through the tough years of no raises and when district leadership was uncertain. They have been dedicated to the students. You also need to look at the cost effectiveness. If people start using their days, you will be paying a substitute $100 for each day, and the students will not have their teacher in the classroom teaching them. Wouldn't it be better to have a certified teacher in the classroom? After all, the priority is instruction. In conclusion, I'm asking that you grant us the same consideration and courtesy you have given previous employees and review the current DEC local policy. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you, Ms. Johans. Agenda item number 7 is consent agenda. In order to promote efficient meetings, the board may act upon more than one item by a single vote through the use of consent agenda. Consent items placed on the agenda shall be marked with an asterisk. Consent items are items for which no board discussion is anticipated and for which the superintendent recommends approval. Prior to the time which approval of consent agenda is had, at the request of any member of the Board of Trustees, any item on the consent agenda shall be removed and given individual consideration. Agenda item number 8, which are our action agendas under Business and Finance and Administration. Item 1612A-1, discussion and/or possible action approving or denying the highest bid offers received on the following properties struck off on Cameron County for itself and our Texas for tax sale conducted by July 5th, 2016, and November 1st, 2016. Questions? Okay, I have a question on that. I'm going to continue reading the legal descriptions. Legal descriptions, the east one half of Lot 4, Block 20, 4th edition, and addition to the City of San Benito, Cameron County, Texas. Legal description, Lot 8, Block 3, Hermosa addition, and addition to the City of San Benito, Cameron County, Texas. Legal description, Lot 7, Block 1, Cameron County subdivision, a subdivision to the City of San Benito, Cameron County, Texas. Legal description, Lot 12, Block 7, 4th edition, and addition to the City of San Benito, Cameron County, Texas. Legal description, Lot 7, Block 2, Francis addition, and addition to the City of San Benito, Cameron County, Texas. Legal description, Lot 6, Block 2, Francis addition, and addition to the City of San Benito, Cameron County, Texas. Legal description, Lot 11, Block 3, Palm Grove addition, Cameron County, Texas. Legal description, Lot 12, Block 3, Palm Grove addition, Cameron County, Texas. Legal description, 20 feet by 70 feet, containing 0.0321 acres, more or less, Lots 7 and 8, Block 27, original town site to the City of San Benito, Cameron County, Texas. Legal description, 20 feet by 70 feet, containing 0.0321 acres, more or less, Lot 7 and 8, Block 27, original town site to the City of San Benito, Cameron County, Texas. Legal description, 20 feet by 70 feet, containing 0.0321 acres, more or less, Lot 7 and 8, Block 27, original town site to the City of San Benito, Cameron County, Texas. Legal description, Lot 1, Block 20, Boulevard Heights, and additional to the City of San Benito, Cameron County, Texas. Legal description, Lot 37, Block 2, Los Ranchitos subdivision, Section 111 South, a subdivision in Cameron County, Texas. Legal description, 6.71 acres, more or less, situated in that certain 8.03 acre tract, more or less out of Block 100, San Benito Irrigation Company subdivision, a subdivision in Cameron County, Texas. Legal description, being all that part of the southeast corner of Block 166, San Benito Land and Water Company, in addition to Cameron County, Texas. Legal description, Lot 16, Block 4, 9th edition, and addition to the town of San Benito, Cameron County, Texas. Legal description, Lot 4, Block 19, Colonia La Paloma, Number 1, a subdivision to the City of San Benito, Cameron County, Texas. I'm gonna go back. Do you want me to continue? Yes. Okay. Okay. Item 1612A-2, discussion and possible action on the language resolution approving or denying the highest bid offers received on the tax resale conducted on July 5th, 2016 and November 1st, 2016 for the above-mentioned properties. Question? I have a question. Item 1612A-3, request approval of superintendent's appraisal tool. Item 1612A-4, request approval to award bid received for 2 trucks for the AC Energy Department. Item one, sorry.
Request approval of superintendent's appraisal tool.
Yes, sir. Correction. 1612A-3, request approval of superintendent's appraisal tool. Question? Consent. Item 161248-4, request approval to award bid received for 2 trucks for the AC Energy Department. Question? Consent. Item 161228-5, request approval to award proposal received for windstorm, hurricane, and hail insurance. Question? Consent. Item 16128-6, request approval of agreement with Personalized Prevention for Employee Wellness Initiative. Question? Okay. Item 16128-7, request approval of revision to DEC local.
Question.
Question? Item 16128-8, request approval to continue an educational credit report of Board of Trustees. Question? Consent. Item 16128-A, request for approval of board minutes. Question? Consent. Okay. Let's go back. And on item,
You could ask for approval of the consent items.
the question, item question was 16128-1.
Request a motion requesting approval of the items not questioned.
Exactly.
I can't hear you.
Request, the ones that, the consent items, you need to request a
Go ahead and
motion to
request
approve.
Okay, I request a motion to approve the
Those
items
items
that
which
were
weren't
not
questioned.
the question.
Consent
Okay.
items.
So,
So moved.
okay, hold on. Okay, motion by Mr. Leal and second by Mr. Mendez. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those against? Motion passes.
Okay.
So then we go back to,
Now you go back.
which is question, the first one, 161. Okay, items 16128-1, because of the language.
I had requested that Ms. Cruz question that item based on the language of the agenda, so we need a motion to approve the bids received regarding this agenda item.
Do I have a motion? Motion? Okay. Motion by Mr. Leal, second by Mr. Mendez. All those in favor? All those against? Motion passes. Okay. So that we go to item 16128-6, request approval of
no.
agreement.
One
Oh,
six one.
Correction again. Item 16128-2, again regarding language.
Yes, we need a motion approving the resolution that's in the board packet, approving the bids.
Do I have a motion? Okay. Motion by Mr. Mendez, second by Mr. Leal. All those in favor? All those against? Motion passes. Okay, now we continue. Item 16128-6, request approval of agreement with Personalized Prevention for Employee Wellness Initiative.
Thank you, Madam President. I've got a couple of questions. Do we have a representative from the wellness program? Okay. The first questions that I'd like to pose to Dr. Vega is, does our current insurance policy offer a wellness incentive program?
I'm going to say not at this level. I mean, this is a very specific program that what our current policy does not offer what this offers. But actually, I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Torres if you'd like to expound upon that further.
Our current insurance does not offer this type of program. It offers mammograms, preventive, things like that, but not to this extent.
So did we do a comparison to what the proposed wellness program is offering against what we have? And if so, what are the benefits from it? I'd like to get some insight on that.
Sure. So what we're proposing to do is come on site and offer preventive screenings. So preventive screenings will be covered under your health plan, but the employees will be going to their doctor's office to go get those screenings. What we're proposing is to come on site to do those screenings.
Did we get a survey out to our personnel to see how they would yeah, well, that to the cost at the end.
To answer the question, I can't say that we reached out to the personnel to see how receptive, as much as knowing that this would be something that would be beneficial to all of our employees, you know.
And it's voluntary.
Yes.
It's voluntary. It is a voluntary program. So what we would do is we would come out and we would introduce ourselves as personalized prevention and let them know that it's completely up to them. So we'll make ourselves available. If they choose to participate, they can, and if they choose not to, then that's okay. They can continue to go to their doctors and get the preventive screenings at their doctor's offices. We're just trying to make it available to them so that they get to know their numbers. This is simply just trying to help people to understand what their numbers are by making it available to them on site.
Thank you. And just for
I have a
clarification.
question. Is this just solely for personalized prevention, or are there access to gym membership discounts and whatnot? Because I know a lot of our employees seem to have lost that benefit from last year to this year. Will this supplant that?
So this is simply limited to preventive screenings. So this doesn't really have anything to do with the gym memberships that are provided through Blue Cross Blue Shield. That stays the same.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Thank you. The other question is that I wanted to have is in regards to the cost of it. What I'd like to make sure, and there's a clarification on this, that there's no fees imposed on the employee. Is that correct?
That's correct.
All right. So in essence, what is the cost for the district on such a plan?
Great question. So we will. Can we approach? Okay. Legal counsel as well. No problem. So we'll direct your attention to page 7. Let's go ahead and go to page 7 here. So what we're proposing to do is a full chemistry profile. The full chemistry profile that you would do in a normal doctor's office could cost a lot more than this. In fact, what happens is the full chemistry costs, let's just say it's $125, but then at the doctor's office, you also get an established patient visit or a new patient visit, which would cost another $230 or $240 in addition to that. We also run a TSH, which is a thyroid function test, an HbA1c, which is a hemoglobin A1c, and a PSA, which is a prostate antigen for males over the age of 40. So this is the cost of the tests that we run. You asked about cost of those tests, so those are the actual costs of those tests. We file those as a claim to the health plan, to Blue Cross, just as if we would any other claim, or if they were going to their doctor's office. But I want to show you about, when you talk about what's this going to cost and what's the return, I want to direct you to the page right before that. And this is an independent study that was done by Blue Cross. We work with a neighboring school district. We started working with them back in 2009. We still work with them. They've been a great client of ours for many, many years. And they asked Blue Cross to look at the claims, actually, and say, okay, so for people that screen with personalized prevention versus people that don't screen with personalized prevention, how much is it actually costing us or saving us? And so what they did was, I'm going to direct your attention to the small graph on the left, where it says diabetes, obesity, heart disease, and hypertension. What that tells you is the green graph here, which shows 116, those are episodes per 1,000, and the 129, those are people that are not screened by personalized prevention. What this tells you or shows you is that even though the disease prevalence is pretty much the same versus people that screened with us or didn't screen with us, so the disease prevalence is the same for diabetes, obesity, heart disease, and hypertension. It's the same, but when you start to look over at the right-hand side, the cost is much less for people that we screened versus the people we didn't screen. And the reason for that is because we catch them earlier. So people are identifying things earlier, and they're going to their doctor and saying, they're saying, we've got hypertension, but we're catching it before they're entering the emergency room. They're actually going to their doctor and getting hypertension medicine and things like that. So what we found, or what Blue Cross Blue Shield found, was that on average, the savings to this school district was $84 per employee per month, which was actually $4.4 million to that school district that year. So what we were asked to do by Ms. Torres was to figure out what that savings would be to San Benito. So if you turn the page back to page 7, and if we estimate, this is a voluntary program, so if we estimate, and I think we were talking about 1,300 employees of the school district, 1,600 employees of the school district on the health plan. And let's just say we open it up to everybody. Let's say we get 50% participation. We estimated maybe we get 720 participants. The cost of the full chemistry profile, an estimated cost might be $90,000. The HbA1c, we look at maybe, what we do in HbA1c is we reflex test that, which means we're not going to run that test on everybody. We're only going to run the HbA1c on those that have a fasting blood glucose over 100. So we're not going to need to run it on everybody, just the people that have a higher blood glucose. So we get a 3-month average of what their blood glucose is. So let's say 40% of the population have a blood glucose over 100. So 288 people we need to run that test on. So that might cost the district $11,000. And a PSA, that's for males over the age of 40. That test might be $3,700. A total cost to the plan might be $105,000. If we multiply that by the $84 per employee per month, the estimated savings to the plan would be $725,000, which if we run the same as we did for the other district down the street, could be an estimated savings to the plan of $620,000. So, and those aren't our numbers. These are numbers that were done by Blue Cross. Now, I can't promise you that's what's going to happen here. And the screenings is just the beginning. We're really a risk management company, so we're going to start with this, then we'll get with Ms. Torres and we'll say, okay, this is what we think we're going to do next after we come back with our aggregate report. But anyway. Any
Thank you very
questions?
much. So this is indeed a benefit, an add-on benefit to our district and our employees. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Actually, it's just, I want the community and our employees to be aware that we're bringing back this, I want you to go ahead and announce it, Ms. Mark, por favor, about the policy. And I don't want you to read everything, just nomás the main one that we were pushing for favor. Yeah. Si no la tienes, aquí tengo yo para que la lees. Pero the one that we were, there's several changes, but the main one.
Right, there were several changes that were proposed. Let me find it. One of the proposed changes was, or addition was the bereavement leave. And basically the way it's worded is the district shall grant 3 non-cumulative bereavement leave days per occurrence for the death of an immediate family member. And this
Awesome.
is the addition to the DEC local.
Quick question on that. I know unfortunately some of the families had, a death in the family in this past school year.
Yes, sir.
But we're gonna go back and compensate
As
them
per our
for.
attorney, that was not the
We can't?
recommendation. No.
I just, okay,
Because the old policy is in place
okay.
when that happened, pero
I just,
it's a start,
I wasn't
just going
able
back.
to attend the committee meeting, so it's fine. But appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I have
So-
a
so with
question
this-
as well.
Okay, go ahead.
In terms of the bereavement policy, I just wanted to clarify with respect to personal days, should employee take bereavement, that they are indeed using their personal days to take bereavement?
Currently, they probably are using their personal days for bereavement, but this is additional. These are 3 additional days that are being provided to the employee.
Okay, so for me, that's problematic because I'm trying to think of surrounding districts that have these similar policies. If you look, no other district grants 3 days for bereavement. If one employee should decide to take bereavement, they are to use their personal days. So I'm a little confused as to why we're not taking that approach in terms of, we were talking about financial sustainability earlier in Dr. Vega's report. I don't see this one change as financially sustainable, given that it's not a financial practice that should be done by the district. So I need clarification in terms of why we're granting this if employees will not be using personal days.
Do you want to address that, Dr. Vega?
Thank you, Mr. Vargas. The only thing that I can say is, and maybe this is, I don't know if it's by way of just history. So I know that historically, this consideration was in policy. And when I say historically, I mean years ago. But around 2013, when I guess there was a policy update, it was no longer in there. And so I think, like other things, and we heard a call to the audience, I think just based on historical practices versus what's in policy kind of brought this to the forefront this year. And so when it came to the forefront, per our current policy, bereavement leave is not in the policy. And so I think there was a request for it to be brought to the policy committee for the specific purpose of bringing it to y'all to vote on. And so in essence, that's why it's here.
Right, and I understand policy-wise we're changing the language, but in terms of financial and human resource practices, I want to make sure that employees are using personal days and we're just not granting 3 free days. I just want to make sure that distinction is there. If not, we need to talk more, I guess, in my personal opinion, about how we're going to do this, because no employee I've ever been a part of has granted bereavement days without me using my personal days, and I just don't want to submerge ourselves into this really gray area until we really have it black and white. Unless anybody can explain to me, clarify why this is a change we're moving. Again, I understand the policy, why it was not listed or articulated in the policy, but I want to make sure that the financial and human resource practice is financially sustainable, meaning we're using personal days for those bereavement days.
Well, I think he's already made his point, on how it stands on this, and I think we presented our point, it's why we're trying to bring it back. And I think Mr. Vargas, he can vote accordingly if he's against it, that's fine, but it's already at this stage right now. And with this in mind, I proudly make a motion that we approve this.
I have one more comment. It's not that I disagree with it, it's that I want to make sure we're all aware of the financial procedures and human resources practices that we are voting for right now. And I understand the importance of bereavement, but I'm a little confused as to the way we're approaching it.
Do we have an amount of, like, say, per year in this type of benefit to the?
I don't think so, because how can you identify?
No,
how many
but
people
what
are
I'm saying in
gonna
the
use
past,
this leave?
a little history of the past, how much have we paid on that per year? I don't
research
think,
that.
I don't think it's that much, and I think it's a good extra thing for our employees. I think it's always been there, and it's a hard time for anybody to go through that. And I think it's a good little incentive for So I moved it.
Be the one that makes the motion?
That's fine.
And I'll probably make the motion that we accept this policy.
I'll second that.
Motion by Mr. Gonzalez, second by Mr. Leal. All those in favor? Aye. All those against?
They,
Motion passes. Agenda item number 9, closed meeting, discussion under the authority of the Texas Government Code 551.071, for the purpose of private consultation with the board's attorney on any subjects or matters authorized by law. 551.074, the purpose of the appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment, duties, and discipline or dismissal of a public officer or employee, to hear complaints or charges against a public officer or employee. A, employment, resignation, retirements. B, Mary Leal, Level 3 grievance. We convene into closed session at exactly 8:08. One moment.
Madam President, I'm sorry, real quick, before we go back into executive session, I was asked, and rightfully so, I just want to make sure that we recognize two of our most recent employees. So we have Dr. Yvette Cantu, if you'd please stand. She is our district coordinator for GT and advanced academics. And then also we have Ms. Erica Flores. She's the district's new director of transportation. So when we go back to executive session, anyone here, if you'd like to go and greet them, that'd be great. Thank you.
Welcome.
We reconvene in open meeting at exactly 10:41 PM. Dr. Vega?
Yes, thank you, Madam President. As per item A, I recommend the employment resignations and retirements as discussed in executive session.
Motion?
So moved.
Okay, motion by Mr. Mendez, second by Mr. Leal. All those in favor? Aye. All those against? Motion passes. Item under Mary Leal, Level 3 grievance, the board will take no action at this point. Item number 10, adjournment. Meeting is adjourned at exactly 10:42.